Here now with Eagles head coach Doug Pederson. And, Coach, it's your first combine here as a head coach. You get to speak with the media for the very first time. Very first time here on the Journey to the Draft podcast presented by AAA. How's it feel to be here at Lucas Oil Stadium?
I'm excited. First combine, obviously, as the head coach, as you mentioned, and to look down here to see Radio Row it can be intimidating. But I'm looking forward to this opportunity. Again, it's where sort of the league year kind of kicks off. Here with the combine, and get a chance to watch these kids perform and get a chance to meet them a little bit with the interview process. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, been a part of it, as a coordinator and as a position coach, but I'm sure it'll be a little more fun and exciting as a head coach now.
Well, that was what I wanted to ask you. What is the biggest difference for you going in here as a head coach now compared to when you were a coordinator or as a quarterbacks coach?
Well, the biggest difference is you obviously got to stay here the entire time.
Sure.
You're looking at both sides of the ball,
yeah.
Along with kickers and punters as well. So, you're not just limited offense or defense. You take in everything. And again, you get to know both sides of the football, and that's probably the biggest difference now, being the head football coach.
What is the daily grind? I think fans, they see the combine as kind of a glorified, hey, they come out, they run the 40, and they meet some coaches, meet the teams at night. What is the daily grind like for a head coach?
It's a lot of it's media obligations. There's some meetings this week, different things that you got to do, some obligations that way. Still early mornings, with some of the measurements and the weigh-ins and things that you get a chance to be a part of, and obviously towards the end of the week you get to see them, inside the dome workout. So, those routines are still going to stay the same, but I think this part of it, the media side, is probably the biggest change.
Sure. What has been the hardest part? Obviously, you've been on the job now for a few weeks. Trying to juggle the new installs and putting everything in schematically. Obviously, you can't do it with the players yet, but then also looking at the roster, looking at the free agents and coming up with the plan, looking at the draft prospects. How hard has it been to juggle all of that?
Well, it's time management. Something that Howie and we communicate daily on our free agents. Looking forward to the draft and obviously the combine here. Plus on top of that is putting in our offensive structure, and then Coach Schwartz putting in the defensive structure, and having time to teach the offensive coaches the system. So there's a balance there. Time management becomes critical. But at the same time, it's football. Bottom line is football, and my relationship with Howie and communicating on a daily basis has really helped that.
And getting back to the football side of it, and you get out here and you meet all these different prospects, you see them all work out. How much of it is finding out what a player can do for your team, and then also what a guy can't do? Is it a little bit of both, or one more than the other?
Well, out here you can kind of see his physical, the measurements, the stuff you see with the eye.
Yeah.
15 minutes in an interview is not enough time to get to know a player until you really get them into your building and on your football team. So you really rely on your scouts and your personnel department to give you as much background on these players as possible. But at the end of the day, can they or can they not play football? And that's what you're looking for.
Sure. And then you mentioned the interview process. Obviously, it's tough. You don't want to. You can't get too much out of that 15-minute window. Are you almost trying to get one specific or two specific items out of that interview, or do you want to just try and paint as big a picture as possible?
Try to paint as big a picture as possible, but then again, you want to capture that one moment, that one, maybe a phrase or a word. If you're talking about his offense or defense, how much does he know? Is he a technician? Is he just know the structure of the defense or the offense? But can he dive into it? Especially with quarterbacks, you want to be able to see how much they know. But at the same time, you're trying to paint with a broad stroke and try to get a big picture of how this person would fit into your organization. And
then during your time with the Eagles, obviously you've been to a number of different combines. Has there been any interviews with the former or current Eagles that stand out in your mind? I remember when we met Nick Foles or whoever the quarterback was, or any of the other players you've met here in Indy.
Yeah, I remember, of course, Nick was a great interview, and then having a chance to go over and talk with Andrew Luck. I talked to him. We didn't have a formal with him, but I had a chance to, on an informal basis, sit down with him. Guys like Cam Newton, some quarterbacks that way that were dynamic guys that you knew were going to have successful careers in the National Football League. And even though we weren't going to be in a position as a team to draft that high, still being able to talk to those guys and get a feel for them them, because you never know. One day they're going to become a free agent and down the road, and you always want to go back to those times and remember those times and understand exactly who that person is.
Well, Coach, thanks very much, and best of luck here in Indianapolis, and thanks for joining us here on the Journey to the Draft podcast.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.